Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Gen Zs, welcome to another one. No, this is the very first episode. Yeah, welcome to the very first episode of the African Legendaries. We're going to delve deep and talk of um, the men and women, the legendary sons and daughters of Mother Africa who've helped shape the African tapestry. And they're the reasons why we're here today and the reasons why we still continue fighting for what we believe is right. My director here tells me there's nothing to smile about. We as Kenyans, we've had one or two things that have happened in this country in this month of June, the finance bill and all that stuff, the riots, people getting killed, and may their souls rest in eternal peace. For fallen soldiers, we shall forever, or you shall forever be in our hearts. Yeah. For the Gen X, I know this is not the very first time you're having a riot. You have been having several riots before. One in particular is in 1975, and the University of Nairobi students wameamua waende kwa streets za Nairobi. The reason being is this young man, Kenyan legislator, who was actually murdered. And well, it's more of an assassination by the government of the day. But let us look at one particular day. That is the very first day of March, same year. Mombasa bound bus. We have an explosion. A bomb was planted, explodes, killing 27. And this young man, who was actually the main target, gets to know he is living on borrowed time. Okay. Anyway, 1929, 9 years after Kenya becomes a British colony or protectorate. Which is it? You know, I did geography. We were dealing with rocks. Those who did history maybe can help me. 1929, Kigani and Mary become parents to this young boy. And the boy grows, sees his people go to the forest, fighting for independence, the Mau Mau, against the colonial government. 1963, Kenya attains independence. 1964, 12th of December, attains self-internal rule. Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, 1963 Prime Minister, 1964 Kenyan President, the very first. 1974, or rather 1964, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta is the president. Who becomes his personal secretary? The young man we're talking about, who was actually born somewhere close to Nakuru. And he sees one or two things in the government and where he can bring change. You know, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta grew fond of this young man.
Kenyatta was very fond of him in the beginning.
He was one to be admired by many. From Nyanza region to Mount Kenya region, people from different tribes, they loved this young man. He was an outspoken person, one who will stand somewhere, speak to masses, and the masses will listen.
That even Africans in this country can do better.
And everyone was proud of this young man. But there's one thing ambayo ilikuwa inamkwaza. As time went by, kuna vitu ambavyo havikuwa vinampendeza kwa serikali. Wale watu ambao walikuwa wameingia kwa forest, those people who were fighting for independence, there was no compensation. The country became as if it was owned by one or two, three families, one or two, three individuals. Mashamba yakagawanwa, land was given to a few individuals. So it's like the white man who was actually, the white man aliondoka, then we have a black colonialist, because there was no change. And hili jambo lilimkwaza, and he actually, more people say he started the slogan of 10 millionaires and 10 million beggars. This never sat right to the government of the day. People in government, actually before aanze kukwaruzana na viongozi wawili watatu, as I said, the president of the day was very fond of this young man. At one time he was made the national youth leader.
And Kenyatta appoints J.M. Kariuki the first director, the first national youth leader.
And at one time, since he was an MP from Nyandarua North, he went to the parliament wearing the regalia, and it never sat well with the people. They were like, who's this young man? Does he think he is the commander-in-chief or something? So, well, there was a lot of conflict that arose from Mzee tending to favor this young man. But as time went by, here we see the young man who's actually not comfortable with the government. So due to this hii kurub shoulders na viongozi, wakati mmoja one of the government's assistant minister by the name Gigi Kariuki akaja akamwambia, I think there was a sitting somewhere in State House and seems like your goose has been cooked. Things are not going to go well for you. He went to Nakuru to see his buddy, very close buddy of his, and while they were playing dart, the then Nakuru mayor akaja akamwambia, ile kisirani ambayo unakuwa nayo huko usije ukaileta hapa, hatutaki hiyo kisirani yako hapa. Those words actually disturbed him, and he had to arrange for a sit down with the president. So before he actually arranged for the sit down with the president, he went to see his doctor, because he was actually having some health issues. You know, he was fighting for the independence. He one or the other participated in the fighting for the independence of this country. At one time it said that the colonial master at one time whipped him and he had bruises. So the doctor advised him, since he had some health issues, he should go to some warm place at least, so that his health conditions can at least stabilize. We all know the warmer parts of this country are along the coast. You either have to go to Mombasa, Malindi, somewhere along the coast. So this guy akaja akaenda kabook bus pale OTC iliyokuwa inaenda Mombasa. Now this is where we have the Mombasa bus ambayo ilikuwa 7 people were killed. Why was he not among those who were in the bus? This is the reason why. When he went to book the bus, the special branch is actually a unit within the police force. They were trailing him, and one day he got a call and he was told, please be careful, there are some people who are trailing you from the special branch. Na hawa watu, they are not here to smile with you. Of course, he had received intel from, of course, the minister and the mayor that things are not sitting right with him and the president or the government of the day. So he never went to Mombasa. He actually aborted the mission, and but he did not alert, or he did not make the special branch know that he will not be on that bus. So I'd say the mission which the special branch had been sent to actually failed. But again, there are people who lost lives, which is very sad to see kwamba serikali does not care, or the people back then did not care what or who they had to kill, so long as they have this one person. Even if it means we'll have to kill 100 people to get this young man or this one man, they'll have to do it. So yeah, he was never on that bus, and from there he got to know, things ain't right. He had a friend. Remember, I had said this man was serving as a national youth leader, so he had friends from the security force. One was by the name Ben Getty. By then he was the GSU commandant, the General Service Unit. He was a GSU commandant, and this was his one of his very close friends. Wakati mmoja DC wa kule kwake Nyandarua, by then I don't know, forgive me if I say something that's wrong, but or if I mislead you, but back then the DCs, the DOs, they were representing the president, very powerful individuals. The DC alikuja akamnyang'anya bunduki yake, personal pistol he had, akamnyang'anya hiyo. So Ben Getty comes, tells him, since you've been called by the special branch for an interrogation, well, yeah, these guys already want to kill you. We've seen that. They've already taken your gun, so you're not armed. And here you're being called to their offices for an interrogation. So Ben Getty offers to go with him for the interrogation. And so one other thing Ben Getty does as a good friend, anampatia bunduki ya serikali, anampatia bunduki ya GSU, but he tells him, or rather the conditions are, spoken or not, you don't have to use this gun on anyone, you know. And again, the government doesn't know you have a gun. I'm giving you this gun secretly, so ensure they do not know that you are armed. So yeah, they go into Kingsway House, I think. No, back then it was a Nyati House. They go to Nyati House. They find a panel there, want to interrogate him. Ben Getty sits somewhere close to the door, and he's actually behind him. And the interrogation starts. It reaches a point where I think things got heated up, that one Arthur Wanyoike, who was the personal bodyguard to Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, slapped this young man. I'm sure by now you already know the name of this young man. It's common, man. It's one by the name... What? Hey, you can't be serious. It's one JM Kariuki, Josiah Mwangi Kariuki. So Josiah Mwangi Kariuki, he's slapped by Wanyoike, and some of his teeth, actually, it said that his teeth came off. Very first reaction of JM was to reach for the gun. But remember, as I said, this gun he was given by Ben, it was done secretly. No one was supposed to know that he has a gun. So he reaches for the gun, and Ben, who was seated somewhere, we all know by now, GSU, the General Service Unit, are actually perfect. I think most of them are sharpshooters. I don't know, but they are perfect marksmen, you know. So Ben sees his friend rushing to get the gun, and he shoots him in his hand, so as to, you know, what do you call it? To disarm, something like that. Well, the term imepotea. Yeah, ili asishike ile ama ili asifikie ile bunduki. So I want you to imagine this scenario. This is a very vocal person. He has got his teeth off, and his hand has a gunshot wound. So imagine him going out to the masses and what he would say to the masses. Well, they knew something had to be done, and since, as I said earlier, his goose was already cooked, they had to come up with a plan, and there was only one solution. He had to be eliminated. Ben Getty goes ahead and pumps bullets into his friend. Marafiki wenu wako wengine manyoks. Pumps bullets into this young man, and since this was not planned, the next thing they do is they go to somewhere near Jivanji Gardens, and wanaenda wanakajak gari ya nyama. You know, hii gari ya nyama inakuanga na ya white imewekwa kilaini kia red, imeandikwa hapo meat. Wanaenda wachukua gari moja ya nyama, and wanakuja wanabeba JM ndani ya hiyo gari. Reason being, itakuwa vigumu sana kushuku gari ya nyama ambayo ina drip blood. This guy was already bleeding. Itakuwa vigumu sana. They carry him kwa hiyo gari ya nyama, wanampeleka all the way to Ngong Forest. Ngong Forest, they dispose his body. I think it's actually said he had a gunshot wound somewhere kwa do you call it the spinal cord. Those who did biology would have called it the vertebral column. God damn it, the biology. Yeah, he had a gunshot wound to ensure that he is totally gone. So yeah, they go dispose him there. Walikuwa wana expect kwamba fisi watamkula. Fisi wata feast on mwili yake. Yeah, but I'm actually made to understand he was a very flamboyant man because he was also a business person, and whatever type of clothes that this guy was or would put on, some Italian suits and all that. So yeah, the Maasais who are hiding around that area, fortunately or unfortunately for them, hyenas didn't feast on him. His body was later on found by some Maasai herders who are herding around that area. He went reported the matter to, of course, the police, and of course the neighbors also got to know about the body that had been discovered. They went reported the matter to the police. The police came, ferried the body. It actually took them close to over 8 hours for the body to reach city morgue. This time, the then vice president of this country, because people are asking, he was a darling of the masses. People are asking, where is this young man? Where is JM? Where is JM? And the government had to come out and say JM had gone to Zambia to visit his friend who was, I think, an ambassador or a minister. But we all know that was not true. And this actually was done. This was actually done. The announcement was done by the then vice president, Mzee Daniel Toroitich. Mzee Daniel Toroitich didn't know that JM was murdered. He actually thought it's true. JM is in Zambia. But once the widows, because he actually had, I think, 2 wives, the widows to JM, wakati walikuja parliament, wali sneak into parliament, wakakuja wakasema, they came screaming and crying, and they said JM's body is in city mortuary.
James' wife screamed in the balcony. They say his body is in the city mortuary. Don't tell Kenya lies.
The Daniel Toroitich is said to have taken out a handkerchief and wiped off his tears because it actually did affect him.
Moi was so affected. I saw him when I was in the house. He couldn't speak anymore. The only last statement he said, if that be true, then this country is in danger.
Alikuwa amedanganywa, au rather alikuwa ametumwa akadanganye the masses kwamba JM is in Zambia. So yeah, they went viewed his body in the city morgue, but pale city morgue walipata, I don't know what to say, walipata, the tag, there are these tags, body tags that are always placed on your feet once you die, maybe stating your name. The tag that was on JM's body was one of, it was written a Luo gangster. Yes, it was written that he was a Luo gangster, and some of his teeth had been removed so that the members of parliament who had actually come to witness the action, because immediately the widows to JM came, the wives to JM came running to parliament. Immediately they all rushed, went to city mortuary to view the body, and they found the tag and the teeth removed, and out there actually there were some people who were mourning, claiming JM's body. It's actually said it was more of a play that was organized by the government to have JM's body removed without the MPs knowing. So they had hired mourners to come, wakuje pale fanya wanalia, they ferry the body outside the morgue. But the MPs actually noticed this simply because there is one special branch officer who was situated at Parliament, who was actually in the morgue, and this time round, the badge he was wearing was one of the mortuary attendant. And one of the MPs, an MP from Kisumu town, noticed, this guy, I've seen him not here, but I see him in the parliament, so he is now a mortuary attendant. So it raised some antennas, and this is actually the reason why they were able to know, the government prints are all over this whole thing. That's how we lost JM. Of course, riots, as I said, by University of Nairobi students, 1975, led to the closure of the university for as long as Mzee was alive. Well, he was only alive until 1978, so 3 years later, we had the uni. Yeah, that's the story of JM and how we lost him. But you see, man, the government, there are lots of things that people in power, they are willing to do. They don't really care about you. If at all I'll have 50 people executed in the name of that one, or in the name of trying to reach for that one person, that shows and tells a lot, right from when Kenya was still young, because I think by 1975 Kenya was only 12 years old. Yeah, it tells you a lot, and I'm proud of what the Gen Zs are doing, or what we are doing, because I'm still part of Gen Zs. We really need to fight for this country. We have to.